Australia is urging people who suffer from hay fever to take preventative measures before the pollen season begins. 1 in 5 Australians suffered from seasonal allergies, and many of the symptoms are similar to those of COVID-19: coughing, a runny nose and shortness of breath. For more, I'm joined by Michelle Goldman, the Chief Executive of Asthma Australia. Michelle Goldman, thank you for joining us on the program tonight. How are people mistaking hay fever and asthma for coronavirus?
Well, as you suggested, there's some very common symptoms between the two. So coughing and a runny nose are symptoms of both the coronavirus and allergies. And we've had many accounts from people with asthma where they've been out and about and their asthma cough has been confused or suspected to be COVID symptoms.
So how can people avoid that confusion?
So we're really encouraging people before the pollen season is fully upon us to be prepared and to see their doctor and pharmacist and to start taking preventive treatment early. Some of the treatments can take a few weeks to be fully effective, so we're really encouraging people to be prepared and to take action early and to avoid symptoms that can be avoided and avoid that confusion and complexity with it being confused as COVID.
So those are things like nasal steroid sprays that might take a few weeks to come into effect, but you're also encouraging people to potentially have an allergy test as well.
Yeah, so for 1 in 5 Australians have allergies. That's a large percentage of the population, and we know pollen can be really problematic. So whether or not it is pollen, getting an allergy test can help identify what is the problem so that you can avoid exposure. And antihistamines and nasal sprays can really help keep symptoms at bay as well.
And people with allergies tend to touch their face a lot as well, which we know when it comes to the coronavirus is a real no-no.
Yeah, that's right. So if you think about it, when you're sneezing, when your nose is running, when you've got watery eyes, you're much more prone to touch your face. And we know that's how the coronavirus is transmitted and how you can be infected. So that's another motivating factor to get symptoms under control early. If you can avoid symptoms, you'll also avoid the unnecessary need to touch your face and reduce your risk of contracting the coronavirus.
Prevention is really important. Just explain to us why, because there are some concerns from Victorian health authorities about people with asthma or hay fever symptoms presenting at emergency departments at a hospital.
That's right. So 80% of people with asthma also have allergies, and if your hay fever is not well controlled, you're much more likely to have symptoms and for them to escalate to a flare-up that requires you to present to an emergency department. And I think nobody enjoys going to an emergency department ordinarily, but especially now in 2020, I know a lot of people will want to take whatever measures are available to avoid needing to make a hospital visit.
How can technology help? Should people be keeping track of pollen levels?
That's a really good question, and there are some apps that can help people. So we know when pollen concentrations rise in the air, that can be a time when symptoms come on. People can use apps like Aerator and the Oz Pollen Monitoring Network. Download it on your phone so you can monitor levels from day to day, and you can avoid going outdoors when you see pollen levels rising.
But of course, if people are unsure, they should still go and get a coronavirus test.
Absolutely. So if you're feeling a little bit unusual, if you've got the symptoms of, especially if you've got a fever, that would suggest it's much more than your usual allergy or asthma symptoms. But if in doubt, see your doctor and get a test. We all need to do our bit and play our part to avoid transmission where we can.
Yeah, some really good information there, Michelle Goldman. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.